Today, I have a lens to review, the Panasonic Lumix S Pro 70-200mm f4 OIS. This is not a new lens, but it is new to me, so I'm reviewing it. In this video, I will share why Raymond and I purchased it, how we purchased it, and my thoughts on the lens. And of course, I'll share photos and videos captured with it throughout. If you're new here, my name is Leigh, and I share videos every week on all things photography and photography adjacent. Today, it is a lens review. I approach my gear reviews with my feet firmly planted in reality. I will let you know what the lens, in this case, is like in real life situations and how it performs for me while I'm in the process of creating my art. Subscribe and give this video a like if at any point you find it helpful or at least entertaining. First, why we purchased this lens. We have several camera systems with telephoto lenses for all but our Leica system. Our interchangeable Leica camera body is the SL2, which has the L mount. Our collection of L mount lenses lacks anything beyond the 90mm that the Leica 24-90 f2.8 to f4 lens provides. Luckily, Leica, Panasonic, and Sigma are all a part of the L mount alliance. They work together, which means that you can use L mount lenses from any of the brands on L mount bodies from any of those three brands. It's very convenient for us shoppers. But which telephoto lens? The Leica 90-280mm f2.8 to 4 produced beautiful images for me when I borrowed it from Leica, but it is heavy with a capital H. I've also used the Sigma 100-400 f5 to 6.3 along with the two teleconverters, but I wasn't totally sold on that either. I wasn't satisfied with the aperture range for at least the majority of my own photography. So while those two lenses were great, Raymond and I were thinking that just a good old-fashioned 70-200mm lens was what we wanted. Enter Panasonic. We decided that we didn't really need the f2.8 version for our purposes, so we landed on this f4 version, and we were able to find it used on KEH.com. And we used some credits that we had from selling our old gear in several batches over the last year or so. In fact, I would like to thank KEH for sponsoring this portion of the video. I have used KEH to sell my own gear since before I started working with them, and this lens was my first purchase from them. Unsurprisingly, it was easy. I received the lens as advertised, and we've been using it ever since. If you aren't familiar with KEH, they purchase used gear and also sell it. For me, the process of selling my pieces of gear one by one through other methods became obnoxious, with non-paying bidders and people flat out lying about the gear that I sold them. It cost me more time and money than it was worth, which is how I came to start using KEH. The process of getting the quote online or through a virtual appointment is quick and easy. And now I can say that the process of purchasing used gear from them is just as satisfying. To be clear, I do not take sponsors in my videos unless I truly believe in them. I continue to use KEH and sell my own gear to them and now to purchase gear as well. I am also a KEH affiliate, which means that if you use my links and codes, they are in the description of this video, to buy or sell, you get a discount off your purchase or a bonus on the sale of your gear. And I get a little bit of a commission. It's one thing that helps keep this channel up and running, so thank you to those of you that use those links. Okay, back to this lens. The lens is a full frame 70-200mm f4 lens with optical stabilization. The SL2 does have in-body image stabilization, but with telephoto lenses, you do greatly benefit from in-lens stabilization because it's simply closer to the end of the lens, which is really what has the most travel when you're holding it. But of course, you can turn the OIS off with a switch on the lens if you want to put your camera on a tripod. This is not a compact lens. I would typically expect an f4 lens to be maybe a little bit more compact, but this is pretty standard for L mount lenses. They simply tend to be larger. Though the weight of this lens is not uncomfortable, which I definitely appreciate. I have walked around with it and the SL2S actually that I'm testing right now without a neck strap, just holding onto it while hiking. So the size is certainly manageable for me, though personal preference comes into play here. A few other characteristics of the lens itself. It has internal focusing and does not extend when you zoom. It is weather sealed. The autofocus is quick and silent. Actually, Panasonic says that it can autofocus at up to 480 frames per second. But if you want to use manual focus, there is a focus clutch, which means that you can pull back the focus ring and you are in manual focus. The lens comes with a tripod collar that is easy to attach and detach, even when the lens is affixed to the camera, which I very much appreciate. The collar has a tripod foot integrated. I did use the SL2 for a time lapse with this collar recently, and it stayed firmly in place for sunrise. Overall image quality is very good. I am happy to use this with my 47 megapixel SL2. Beyond that, bokeh and the overall characteristics of this lens are a good match for the SL2. I wouldn't say that it is the same as a Leica lens, which definitely have their own special qualities, but obviously I purchased this lens and I've been using this lens regularly, but this is where personal preference comes into play. For now, I would rather have this relatively compact lens over the larger and heavier Leica Vario telephoto. If you're looking for an L-mount telephoto lens, you'll have to decide what's right to you. Another benefit to the Panasonic telephoto is that when purchased new, it is just under $1,700 in the US. Though of course I purchased it for significantly less because I purchased it used. By the way, KEH does have a grading system so that you know what to expect. This lens was rated as being in excellent condition, so I knew that it would be in perfect working order. KEH is very clear about what their ratings mean, but compare that $1,700 full price to the Leica 90 to 280 millimeter lens, which is priced at over $7,000. We haven't found any drawbacks to this lens. We knew that 200 millimeters isn't long enough for much of the wildlife photography that we do, but we have used it for wildlife from time to time. We are certainly comfortable doing some cropping with our SL2, and there are 2 teleconverters available if that interests you. On its own, it's nice for sports, for product photography, even portraits. Actually, I always liked using a 70 to 200 millimeter for beauty shots where you are very closely cropped into the subject's face. I've been using it in my current project where I am focusing on nature and the outdoors, comparing the Leica SL2 and the Leica SL2S. This time lapse is just a snippet of what you will see in that video. If you have any questions about this lens or about my experience with KEH, let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like and subscribe if you are interested in seeing more from me. Remember that I do have those links to KEH in the description of this video. Thank you to KEH for your continued support of this channel, and thank you for watching.